Oh, well, hey, that works. That's not what's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen. All right. How y'all doing? All right. So, yeah, it's Sunday, and my camera is blurry for some reason, and I'm not gonna fix it because it doesn't matter. Uh, so just gonna do a couple of hours. Uh, so yeah, I'm talking about Dota. Somebody on Discord. So, um, easy. Oh, all right. So Sunday, I don't usually stream on Sunday, but you know, I didn't have anything else to do. Kids are put away, dinner's done, wife's reading a book, that kind of stuff. So might as well. So we're gonna do about an hour of 7 Days to Die, and then we are gonna go and do some game dev. So let's go. What am I doing? Moving this down here. No, not under me. There we go. All right. All righty. It's day 2.5. So, little refresher. This is a permadeath run. I don't think that's a setting in the game. Maybe it is, but whatever. If I die, I delete the character. And that's from anything. Zombies, uh, food. Though I have solved the food problem. Uh, and so I don't have any issues with food now. I got two dew collectors, and the one is pretty stacked out. See here, this guy's got both of them. He's got the tarp and the gatherer. So this produces a lot of water. So I got to get this quest done. Wait, was it? So I can, so then I can chat at you. All right, good deal. All right, I appreciate it. I wasn't trying to cut you off there. I just trying to do two things here at the same time. So also, I tweaked my mouse a little bit, or my microphone. Let me know if it's too loud. I was trying to make it so that when I talk softer, like when I'm developing and I'm down here like this and all that, that it can still be heard. Let me know if it, but it's kind of, it's going a little higher, looks like. So let me know if it's too loud. But on, for Dota, yeah, it was the Draw Ranger and the Sniper. And I liked their play styles. I really did. Like how the Drow Archer Ranger, whatever her name is the only character I have skins for. Then again, I'm not really particularly interested in getting skins for the male characters, but that's a separate issue. All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was just following some YouTube video. It's not really something I care too much about. But yeah, I can see it from your end. The being a musician and stuff, sound is pretty important. I don't think he sees me yet. He did not. Oof. Right in the spine. Like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah, I've got the compressor and now an expander on it to try and get it, the lows high and the highs low. But that kind of stuff is a little foreign to me. But you practice. I mean, so is doing streaming and all that. So you just practice, you get it done. Ooh. I tell you what, like I said, I'm halfway through getting Dota 2 installed. Right. And it makes sense. It's just like getting it right has just been a chore. And part of it was my mic. And I actually, now that I've got these settings, I don't think I had the snowball mic, if you know what that is. And it worked fine for me for a long time. And recently it didn't. It worked, but it just sounded weird. But now I'm thinking maybe it wasn't. And it was just me. Like, my voice naturally has that gravel, and it sometimes doesn't. I don't think it sounds very good, when you're listening to it, because it's just there, and I can't. That's just my voice. That's not compression. That's not low quality mic. That's just my voice. It's just got that. Well, appreciate that. Um, but other than that, so yeah, I don't know. Do you play ranked? Like you play ranked exclusively on Dota? Because I do like Dota. It's kind of hard for me sometimes. I might take this one. I might just wear that. Yeah. What was in there? Did I have something in here? You know, some people are very serious about it, but is Turbo the one where like you sit, like you go on the bridge? I don't know what Turbo is. I used to play another game. It's like Dota and League, but you play on your mobile device. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of it. So I played that one quite a bit. Uh, and it had a mode it's like you died and you had to wait a certain amount of time before you could respawn. But it was like a one lane. Yeah, Mobile Legends. So nothing was in that. All right, so that's fine. Scrap. Do I have any points to give? I have 5 points to give. Jesus. Why do I have 5 points? Okay. I saw something where did they update the map? Think about water. Like they changed the rivers or something. Oh, I use it for most of the time. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I could see that being. That's the one thing about Dota and League of Legends. It's just so slow. It's so slow, and yet you're always doing stuff. Oh, it's unlocked. Okay. He's just said, ah, there it is. That was the one thing that I didn't like about Dota is the and League of Legends. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Maybe, maybe not. Like he had the rain, you know, the I don't know. I actually don't know. It's actually been a couple of years. Like maybe a year and a half. I think so. That like no, I think that's Drought Archer when something slows them down. So I'm gonna say no. Easy answer. Just say no. Puts pushes them out. Mm, maybe. Sounds familiar. I'll have to check it. I'll check. I think so. I really do. Actually, yes, I do think so. Because you can also use it the other way, right? You can. Uh, am I thinking of what's her name from League of Legends? Uh, I'll have to get. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. You just use it behind you instead of you get that like jump and then you hit them with the like later on in levels when you can do a lot of damage later on. Oh, son of a bitch! See, 15 minutes is doable. Oh man, that thing is gonna kill me right there. Wow, run speed 50%. See, 50. Yeah, see, I could do that. I could do that. 15 minutes versus 40 or even 60. That dude went down fast. Come on in. Oh. There it is. Well, I'll get this installed. I have stable internet. I do not have the fastest internet, even though I'm in Japan. So it's going to take me a little while. I'll leave, I usually turn everything off. Oh, got me a good knife. That's good. Wait, what repairs? You know what? It's good. No. That's fine. Let's do that. That's worth it. Yeet. I'll just leave. Oh, sorry. I usually turn everything off in my office because it's just an apartment here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. All that prevents me from getting things. I don't believe you cure. Well, let's take it anyway. Oh, it's the walls. Oh. Oh, hey, man. What's going on? I saw you have some troubles, so I appreciate you coming in. This is the first time I've actually ever been raided by anybody anywhere. How's everybody doing? My name is Steven. I do game dev and I fight zombies. So sometimes I'll play Diablo, which has zombies in it. And I think I'm about to start playing Dota 2 again. So I like to do it's first, and I appreciate you for coming. So I got I'd like to raid people. Maybe now I should go raid people. Can you raid other people while you have the watchers from the raid? Can you just create like a raid, Inception? A raid train, there you go. Like a hype train. Unfortunately, I'm not going to waste, especially since you guys are here, I'm not going to... If I was by myself, I might sit there and go clink, clink, clink 10,000 times. But I won't bore you guys with that. I could, yeah, see, that'd be great. Oh, I'm gonna become a pirate. I'm a straw hat. So, little known fact, I don't know, some people know what 7 Days to Die is. It's a zombie survival crafting game. The quick tip, if people who do play it or want to play it, when you get a quest, and it's usually for like a house or something, you can go into that house, loot all of its stuff, and then start the quest, and it redoes it regenerates the entire house. So you get double the stuff. Just use that. So also I'm playing a permadeath run. So anytime I die, I gotta delete the character. So the goal is to make it to 7 days and through the blood moon, and there you go. I mean, whatever comes after that, but that's the whole thing. I can't die of food, I can't die of starvation, and I can't die of zombies, obviously. I hear somebody. Oh well, doesn't matter. Thanks for the follow, Flavor NKL. Much appreciated. So it'll be about another half hour, and then we'll start the game development proper. I am making a language learning roguelike game. And the first language is Japanese, because I live here in Hiroshima. I'm married to a Japanese lady, and I have 2 half Japanese kids. So my kid already plays the game, and I want to teach other people. It's been a passion of mine for a very long time that we can make educational games great. It's cool. I'll have to check it out. Is that a like a what kind of game is that? And you know what? I'll turn off the while we're being rated. I will turn off. I have it on the 10-minute timeout for subscribers to talk because we've had a lot of bots. So I'll turn that off for the time being. Let people just talk after I mute myself. Let's see, chat settings. Where is it? There it is. All right, follower only. So 0 minutes. There you go. Everybody can talk. I don't need to see myself. Oh, I got a book here. Can you review your own Steam game? That would be funny. Like top review is from the developer. You know, don't play this game. Oh, I didn't see I got a wire tool. Nifty. So, oh, appreciate you. Um, Shout out for sure. You know, um, right. Okay. So yeah, and so the traditional, it's classic story, right? You're in high school or even grade school, and they'll have you play those educational games, and it's like it's 20% game, 80% education, and that much education poisons both the game and the education. So you might as well just be learning. If you're going to be that bored, you might as well just be learning. It just the 20% game is disappointing. So the idea is 80% game, 20% education. And as we know, all of us, we can play games forever until it kills us. And so if you can add just a little bit of education into that process, not a lot, not the primary focus, in theory, if the game is fun enough, then you learn as much, if not more, over the course of tens of hours of gameplay. And the sweet spot is finding how to find just the right layer of education for what would otherwise be. And the idea that I've got is that if you could remove the education from the game and still want to play the game, that's what you're looking for. And then add the education back. The Uber example that I use, well, there you go. The Uber example that I use, like the pie in the sky, nowadays we have Pokemon Go, and it's got a little bit of an AR mechanic these days, but you could take it to the next level where me and my kid are walking around the city, and so like we both see a shiny Pokemon, see a shiny Pikachu. I don't think it's actually a shiny Pikachu, but whatever, it's a shiny. And so we both are working together to catch it. And when she needs to heal her Pokemon, she does the heal spray, and then she has to answer like an addition math question at her level. When I do it, I have to do something harder, calculus or something else in some genre. That we're both doing the same thing, but in order to do roughly the same content, it's gauged towards us. But the gameplay is fun because, hey, people play Pokemon Go without having to do anything else, right? And so you make it that the education slightly sits in front of certain parts of the gameplay. That means people aren't learning to play the game, or the point of the game is not to learn. You put the learning in a place where people want to do it, to do what they actually want to do. And so it's like, where do you find that? And so for me, you get the bonuses and the combos from answering the content, the educational content correctly. But you can still play the game without it. And that if you don't get the question correct, you still have a viable path forward. And I'll show that off in a little bit when we get there. But yeah, I think we're starting to go there, and we're starting to see that as everything gets gamified. We just find a little layer, and when the game, it's called like it's like compression of the gamification. It used to be everything was gamified, but that's not. You know, if everything is like, do I gamify my sink when I turn on the water? No, you're finding a way to compress it to where it's actually effective, versus just being something you can say. Like when your bank added a gamification, hey, you've logged in 10 times. That wasn't effective. Like, what was the goal? To have you log into your bank more? Anyway, so we'll get there. And so yeah, I'm gonna build a crate, because by the time I'm done with this, I'm gonna have to make some choices about what I take with me back to the house. So then we'll go and we'll do this. We'll dump the stuff in there. Okay, it all fits in there. So what I do here, so first I make sure it all fits in there. I get really paranoid because it'll reset the scene. It'll remove things that are there, right? So I don't want to put my stuff in the crate that I just looted, restart the scene, and then my crate's gone as well as the stuff inside. So I put it, see, pretty far away. Oh, sorry. Right. And you know, Jack, I was thinking I didn't get a chance to say it on the thing, but because I know like you're in the process of kind of changing the point of your game a little bit. Like you're moving it away from strictly horror to more of an escape room with horror aesthetic, if I follow that correctly. And so I was thinking that, but you said that there was still something that was uh, following the along, like you know, chasing you sort of. And one of the things that I thought is that you could use some of the routing that go from place to place as it's like an escape that you shouldn't use that would hurt you in some way. So that like if you just can't figure out the puzzle, and so you could give those players you know a route that would be they could just get through the puzzle, but then it wasn't good somehow. So I don't know. I haven't fully thought about that. Just like an escape from the puzzle, but it's like you're crawling. Well, for instance, you're crawling through for okay. I'm making this up as I'm thinking, and of course that's terrible. Um, you showed the diagram that's got the tunnel above, or like the pipes above the train, and then that's what they push the air through. And the puzzle could be you still have to use that route, but if you don't disengage the puzzle, the fan is still working. And like it's a horror game, so you rig it up so it looks like the fan's not there. Like you have to kind of crawl through some stuff, and as you crawl through, you get cut. So you take some damage from that. You get through without solving the puzzle, but you incurred damage because you didn't solve the puzzle. Anyway, that's what I thought when you guys were first, you know, discussing that. Okay, I'm gonna die of. This run's gonna end at about day 4 if I don't get something to cure. I've already been infected. I've already been infected. Okay. You see there at the bottom, 3.6% of the infection. If I don't get that down somehow, I am going to die. I guess you didn't see the flame. All right. I'm not going to spend too much time. I already got it. So you know what? Hey. All right. Oh, okay. That's what that sound was. Oh, crap. Okay. I knew I forgot something. Should have brought the wood with me. No, wait. You don't use wood for that. You use stone. All right. So, repair, repair, and repair. All right. So I'm almost... I don't actually need anything, and it's actually pretty bad that I've got so much infection already. I think I might have something at home that'll solve it. Oh, shit, there's somebody behind me. Oh, it's not good. We're not going good places here. Alright, you know what? It's not worth it. I don't even get points for this quest. Alright, guys. Alright. Oh, that's a bad throw. Bad throw. Alright, he's gone. That kind of clears out the house, though. You know what? You know what I keep forgetting? I keep forgetting I have a gun. I have a gun with a scope. So we're going to use that gun. There we go. It's just a rusty pipe pistol, so it don't do much. No safe that time. All right. Plastic's very important in the early game. Plastic is the primary component in a dew collector, and that's your water. Freedom, exactly. It used to be a lot more difficult to make guns in this game, but they've eased up on that, and you find a lot more of them these days. But really just work on the quality. Like a pipe pistol doesn't have very good aim, doesn't have very good damage, makes a lot of noise. Yeah. You know, that stuff will come, of course. You know, he's pretty early into it. But I think there's a lot that can be done. You know, of course, that's the fun part of game development, is the dance of avoiding features creep scope. Or feature creep. So I've been pretty lucky in my game that I have been able to keep it really focused. I've only had 2 instances of feature creep, and it's gonna be 3 soon, but it helps me work towards co-op and PvP content, so it's not terrible, but you know, that's I'm pretty close to being done with the game in terms of it's playable. I mean, technically it's playable, you know. Wildtech, he plays it, and I've only got 1 bug, I think, that kind of kills it for me. But after that, it's just a matter of adding content and then building up, you know, a player base, etc., etc. All right, so I'm done with that. Pick up the stuff. And I don't have any. Okay. Use that. Anything else? I'm gonna wear. No, I'm not gonna wear that because I'm gonna use that. I guess use, and by use I mean eat. And I'm gonna drink that. And I'm gonna take that. All right. I feel like crushing my enemy. Okay. We don't need sand. So boom. We keep the water. No, I know. No, we'll keep the water. Like I said, I'm not gonna go with the biker boots. So we'll keep that. We'll put that. Pipes are important. They're the other ingredient, and I gotta keep that. I'm not gonna need a wire cutter in the next 7 days, but that'll sell for a good amount. So, all right, now we head home. After I see if I can hit this guy. I did hit that guy. Did you know I was here from that distance? Because I hit him. Oh, whatever. So another thing that I usually do on this stream, channel, so it's 7 days to die. That's what I'm doing lately. I'm probably gonna do some Dota, and I sometimes I open up packs of Pokemon cards that I get here from Japan. So those are cool because it's just Japanese, so it's always cooler. But I buy them for my kids, so might as well open them up on stream. And I play Pokemon Pocket. So those are the kind of things that I do. But usually the brunt of it is game development. Oh, I got. Oh, hungry. I ate my food, so. Huh. Interesting. I'm not going anywhere near zombies that are radiated in this run, but I don't think. Yeah, it's already 10 p.m. in the game, so I can't turn in the quest until in the morning. That's fine. Uh, I really got to get deal with this infection. If I don't, well, then the game's over. Just be a slow death. So there is a something you can make, but I don't know if I have the level for it. We're just going to find out. All right, do those before. Yikes. Nope. Okay. So we're just going to dump all that for now. We'll take it all back. And we'll dump it in here. Some of it matches. Okay. All right. What can I do? I don't think I can do anything. Yeah. I can't make. There's no way. Okay. No way I'm going to get that. Well, I can buy some. I can buy some from the guy. He should have some. And hopefully it doesn't cost too much. Now I just have to wait. And I'm going to run out of time before I can wait. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, so I'm not gonna make you guys wait. So let's go back to the lobby. Exit. All right. So, like I said, the game that I'm working on, a couple of things. It's a browser game, written in. It's just a regular browser game, and not even like using libraries to make it act like a regular game. It is a website, but it doesn't look like a website. It looks like a browser, or I'm sorry, a game, and it will be a mobile game that you play on your phone primarily. Part of that is because I am a web developer by profession and have been my entire life since the 90s. And so just my wheelhouse, which makes this basically just a SaaS product with a fancy front end. Other than that, it's just a regular game. And it is like I said, it is a roguelite. The story is pretty simple. The main character is cursed with immortality, and really not immortality, just like basically reincarnation. I feel you. I do. I got 2 kids, so uh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Uh, what was the sense? So yeah, the main character that you play is an immortal who respawns when he dies. Uh, he has, depending on the age rating of the game, there's going to be multiple versions, so like kids can play this. But basically, um, he infects another person with immortality. The merchant, the female merchant in the game, and so he and her are working together to find the cure for immortality. And there's a particular tower in this world that when you gather all of the pieces and ingredients of a certain recipe will cure immortality. And so he feels guilty, so he's trying to help her, um, find the cure. That's the game story. And then really, it's just a roguelite, so no one really cares about the story. Important is that kind of explains why he can do the thing over and over again. Is it's part of the story. The other part is like there's no classes. It's just you're building. It's also okay. So it's a roguelite, but it's also a deck building roguelite. So your weapon determines your basic deck, and those are the cards, which turn into flashcards. And so I used to have classes, but weapons are a little more interesting, I think. Part of it is because the guy is immortal, right? He can, he dies over and over again. He's been doing this for thousands of years. So he's had all this experience with all of these things. And so he's used all the weapons, he's used all the magic, he's used all the stuff. And so that to me explains why he can do all that. It's the same person. And so instead of being classes, he's just like, okay, I'm going to pick up a sword, and I'm going to pick up this. And so you pick your weapon. I've got 3 now, but I want to have at least like 20. Like a handful of melee, handful of archery, handful of magic. And then you have 2 relics. And a relic is so like you get 4 skills that you can use in a battle. The weapon provides 2 of them, and then you pick 2 more. And so that's how you make your own class essentially. And so the first one you get, and then you get to the second one unlocks at level 10, and it is whatever you pick is actually 2 times the strength, right? It's your ultimate, your epic, whatever you want to call it. Then you can pick a charm or a curse to, in this case, the default, you get 25% gold extra. Then after that, you can pick a potion it buffs some stat. The default that requires no ingredients is endurance to make you survive a little longer. Then you pick your flashcard set. In this case, the 2 that I've got is Hiragana and Katakana for testing. I've got a few other ones. They're just not enabled for play. Like I'm just trying to get it through, right? So you pick that, and I I go with hiragana. Later on, you can come to a floor, as you progress through the game, and that's pretty much it. For and so then it's just your regular roguelike. Pick your way through a map. So recently I have this is, I hate to use the term, but this is a live service game, which means it's got a server component. And I'm doing that so that I can, for various reasons. For one, I'm not going to install all the flashcards into the game. This isn't Anki, and it's hard to justify what I want to do with it in that way. So I keep it on the server with the flashcards and the engine that generates the recommendations for what you do end up seeing. But then also now I keep all the player files on the server, so there's not as much cheating. I can't really help that. Oh, it's a website, so I can run translation on it, here, and then answer the question. But I'm not going to worry about that too much. So if you have, so in that case is easily solved by having, cheaters will play so well that they'll just rank themselves out, and so then you'll have a rank that at the very top that is not considered, not considered the top of the rank. So they'll rank themselves out. But in general, I'm not going to worry too much about cheating for a long while. In any case, it would require either knowing the information or having some system that can give you the information. Like you don't know the answer; it's kept on the server, so you can't just, oh, that's the answer. You have to either know it or you tell ChatGPT or something else to figure it out. So I'm not too worried about cheating at this stage. Anyway, that's the point, is it keeps the game server or the game profile on the server. So that again. So I apologize. I haven't actually explained this game to anybody in a long while. When you come to the game, like a fresh start, you don't have to sign in or log in. You just press the start button and it goes. The server profile is created for you and then stored in Cookie. And so now it'll ask you, hey, you should sign up. You should go, right? But you don't have to. If you delete your cookies and or lose your phone, you'll lose this game. But then you do sign in and it will upgrade to a full account. And then it'll say, hey, you know what you could also do? You could pay for the game. So I'm following along with the Duolingo type model. The game itself is free to play, but there are extra features, especially in the educational end of it, that you can pay for. In any case, that's the basic game. You're playing. And so the first weapon that I came up with was a dagger. So it does the stipple, bleed, and heal is the first relic that I use, just to make the first playstyle easier to get you into it. So you pick a card, you answer it, boom. And so the issue, and this is what I was saying earlier, you can still play the game without getting the question right. So for instance, you look at the card here, you're gaining mana whether or not you get this card right. So, but in this particular card, if you do get it right, you get more mana. So it's more like you don't get pinged for getting it wrong as much as you get more benefit from getting it right. And that's an incentive to get it right. But in either case, you're still accruing mana to actually do damage to the enemy. And so in this particular build, this card here, I'm not going to use it yet, because the combo of this build is you have a card that will double the output of your next card. And I did actually just use it. And I think this just triggered the bug. So I don't think I used that card. No, it didn't. All right. Huh. Interesting. Well, I messed up then. I must have actually used the button. And that's on me. Alright. So some of the things that I have outstanding is battle graphics, the little, and creature making sound when they get hit, and just the general gooey juiciness of a battle scene. Not my forte. And this is the card I was talking about right here. And so I'm gonna wait on that till I get the critical card back into the deck. Go for it. Go for it, man. Got to turn off. Turn off. 7 days to die music. Alright. That's the basic loop. And so what I'll be working on is tightening that loop. I am making the battle and gameplay stuff a little juicier, adding particle effects, the usual stuff for gaming stuff that you move to the end. I'm not an artist, so that's not my focus. But then after that is also just building out the various flashcard sets. I am not going to say that you can learn Japanese with this game. My focus is to help reinforce knowledge you're learning elsewhere. And so the idea is you use Duolingo, memorize, you use Anki, you're doing your flashcards, but that's one-to-one. You're just doing that, right? That's the kind of the point. It's like that can be boring. You're just like, like a TV show where a man's cooking an egg and the scene's about the man cooking the egg. That's boring. His dog's not biting him or trying to eat his wallet, or his wife's not trying to leave him while he's cooking this egg. It's just him cooking an egg. That is a boring scene. So, but it's not to knock Anki. I mean, it's important to do your homework regardless of how boring it is, right? So I'm not trying to say don't do that. I'm not trying to replace that, because you should have primary sources that are just the education. You can't get around that. And no matter what people say, or, oh, you can just watch anime for 10. Yeah, if you watch it for 10,000 hours. If you're doing 1,000 hours of education, sure, you would have done 10 times more, right? So this is that. I'm not trying to replace it. I'm trying to give you a reason in your off time to reinforce, because that's the other part. The thing that is missing from primary education is the reinforcement. Their reinforcement is just more education. And so that's just boring on top of boring if you're not feeling it, right? But hey, you've got this game that you can play, and you did do your stuff, say an hour, 10 minutes, whatever. But now you're standing in line, waiting for something. Pop this out on your phone, 5 minutes, do a run. You might answer or see as many flashcards as you saw in that 10 minutes or an hour. But the stakes are different. You're not doing it directly. And you can put away. It's not, if you put this away, you're not going to feel as bad tomorrow if you didn't do your Duolingo or your Anki cards, right? It's just fun. And then it's reinforcing. There you go, man. Have at it. And so this is my philosophy for this game, is make it a generally fun game. If you like roguelites and deck roguelites, and then try and find a way to insert some education into that. And so this is what I've come up with. Later on, I'll make I'm remaking this game in Unity, but I do want to have the web version, because just get there, no barriers of entry, no install, no walled gardens, no nothing in the way of you playing this game. But then later you can go and you really like it, you can get the Steam version, you can get the mobile version from iOS, and still play and carry on. But I always want, even Duolingo to this day has their website. You can go to it right now and use their app without having to install anything. And that's a key point, especially in this day and age, right? Having a login screen or an install, that draws a lot of people away. So, and then again, like I said before, this is just my wheelhouse. This is where I'm at. So yeah, and I've got a bug, and this is what I was talking about. Right there, that literally. It's sometimes the front end and the back end have a disconnect about what cards are in your hand. But I don't know why, because every time you do anything that requires server interaction, it tells you it gives you the latest player state, like the entire thing. Like I haven't whittled it down to just, oh, here are the changes. No, it's the entire player file every time you make a server change. And that's just, it's an alpha product. So, hey, it's fine. So how is the front end and the back end having this miscommunication? I don't know. I will find out. Card is not in your hand. So, cardboard 100, index. Okay, hold on. Now, hold on. That should be the 0 index card. 0th index card. Not. This is custom, actually. So, I use web components. On the front end, there are no libraries. And part of that, this is a resume piece, a portfolio piece that has gone way too far. This is all custom. And even on the back end, it is primarily custom. It's Node.js on the back end, but I wrote my own HTTP server. I wrote my own application layer. The only libraries that I'm using there, let's take a look. The Postgres package. Let's see here. So I didn't do my own encryption. So I need to get rid of this. I don't use SQL anymore, or SQLite. You got form data, Jose, Mailgun to send emails, Nano ID for the IDs, obviously Postgres, and then Stripe. Those are the only. I don't even use Lodash. So this will become less like this as time goes on, as this becomes, actually people are paying for it. And this was a conceit that I did early on. Like I said, it's supposed to be a portfolio piece to show off what I can do. Well, I guess if I actually have it where it'll pay, then that's a pretty good sign of what I can do. Well, other than that, it's all custom. Do that. All right. No license. There's the license. Okay. Do I have to put LLC in there? Does it matter? No one's going to see this. I don't put this in the. I'm only going to worry about it. All right. So the bug is, and I found out the reason. It's sending the wrong index. So it sends the index and the card ID when I lift this up and let go. And now it works. That's so weird. Oh, I know why. It refreshed. And now the front end matches the back end. But what it did, so the issue was, I saw it, it sent index 1 and then the card ID for the first or the 0th index, the actual first card. So it looked in the first index, the second index, and saw that card didn't match. That was the bug. So now I have to figure out if I can force it and then try and fix it. But it should be easy to fix. Something is. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think the index of the card, it's a closure issue. It may not be, but this is what I'm thinking. It loops through the cards that you have, and it has the card, and then it on click do this stuff with this index. And so I use the card at the 0th index and it goes away. It's not updating its index. That's exactly what it is. And I just happen to use cards at this end. And so it adds cards back to it, and it makes those, it makes those on-click events with the indexes of those things. I'm pretty sure that's it. But in any case, I'm almost definite that it's a closure issue, and I'm not having it look up its index in real time. Or just overriding. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to override the click handler every time I use a card, and then say, okay, there's your index. But we'll see what happens when I actually get into the code. I need a bigger desk. Gun. I'm American, so I have a gun. But it's not a real gun, unfortunately. Alrighty. That is a whole lot of not fights. Let's go through it. I want to turn this. So I'm pretty happy with it, because again, it's all a conceit to get you to answer flashcards. I'm pretty happy with how the treasure room is, but I do want to enhance. I want to have like your lockpick can degrade, right? Instead of it just being if I get this wrong, you don't do as much of the lock, right? I'd like it so that instead you just have a certain number of lockpicks, and you can break them. But overall, I'm pretty happy. Because everything. Die right there. And it's only slow like that because I'm streaming my work from my laptop into a second machine that's doing the OBS to you guys. So it's a little smoother in real life. And I'm working on trying to bring the two together so it's better. But yes, everything there is fresh. It's a lot of CSS animations, and so, like I do a lot of business from this website, and even if you click into it, you can go to this website, cubic-bezier.com, make your own. I'm a big fan of doing this. Zoink, zoink. And so that's, goes. And so when something kind of pops in, it's just that simple transition. So it's the preview. How do I preview it? Go. Swing. And so I do a lot of that. There's a lot of animations like that. So we're going to say no. So the kind of rooms that you have is you have the treasure. That you get through that, you get random items, and a lot of the items are modifiers and relics. And so just like with the weapons, the man has done a lot of stuff, and he's had a lot of, been afflicted with a lot of problems and had a lot of lucky streaks. And so most of the modifiers are more like fragments. And so he's remembering things that he used to do. Like, I used to, be so good with the merchant that I could get 25% off. Or could not get a discount to save my life, that kind of stuff. And so you collect fragments. That's how you unlock things. And so during a run, you can get a fragment and you can use that thing, whether it's a charm, relic, or whatever. And then when you collect enough fragments, you unlock it, and then you can select it when you're doing your loadout. And then after you've unlocked something, you keep collecting those fragments. You just get, +1, +2, +3 kind of thing. And so that way you have a certain play style that you like, you can make it pretty damn powerful towards the later part of the game. So I really am a big fan of incremental and just forever, not a predefined. I like it when you can break a game. right? But I also like there to be effort to break a game. The same thing here. I built the treasure and this mining room. They were the first rooms that I built that wasn't the battle. And it's pretty straightforward. You answer a question right, you get 25% off the whatever you're trying to do. You get it wrong, it's like 15%. Later, I built something called the altar room that unlocks relics. And it's much more interactive. Like your hammer degrades if you get it wrong, instead of you do less of the thing. And so I'm going to move towards that. But for now, this is what it is. It's an alpha product. I got to say that. You're going to hear me say that 1,000 times. It's an alpha product, and that means something. It means, you know, I don't need to stress over these things. Here it is. I'll go up here and we'll just do the thing. We'll go back to the battle. So if I'm right, I'm going to see how right I am. Because the problem is, and see, this is why this doesn't always trigger. It's sending the and see right there. The first 4 cards are the same card. So even if it is sending the wrong index, what does it matter? And then actually, that's fine. It even doesn't matter. So if I pick the 0th card or the first card, and then I send that to the server with the card ID, but there's a bug and it's the second, but it's the same card, who cares? You don't care. I don't care. But it's still a bug that needs to be fixed. It's just, that's why it went so long. Like, I've been doing this for a while now. And this bug has probably been there since the beginning. So yeah, if I use this. Alright, we're going to check the network. Clear it. Now use the next card. Alright, what did you send? That is the response. There you go. Sent index 1 and the card ID. That's exactly what's happening. It is just sending the wrong index. Let's see. Did you give every component? Yeah, sure. So I use web components, like I said. I kind of wish I hadn't, but they're fine. They're fine. They got their intrinsic. They got their extrinsic. I can't say the word. I'm fudding it tonight. They got their issues, but they're fine. The scenes are not web components, and I've toyed with the idea of making them web components. But what I have a div that I just blank out everything, and then the scene fills in. Like, I don't have any collision issues. There's no reason. You can only have one scene at a time. There's no problem if it's not, not a web component and self-contained. That, and you have an issue with web components inside web components inside web components. At some point, the web components deep down in won't self-trigger, and you have to go through and, hey, it did the thing. It finally focused on my face. You have to start manually triggering the web components to initiate. So I've just picked a layer, but yeah, I got a general life cycle. But nowadays, so what I did, I wrote my own layer for for event listeners, and so I use it to add event listeners that will then capture the actual function that I'm putting into it, so I don't have to do that myself every time I think, and then I can just tell that cache to remove the event listener, and it does it, and I don't have to remember what it was. But I can also then say remove when I change scenes, and in the loader I can just say remove all event listeners. I don't need them anymore. I'm removing everything, and done. That's the end of that. And then the web component handles the detach itself, and then boom, it just simplified that whole thing. It used to be much more complicated until I realized I could do that. But and other than that, let's see here. Right. Like, that's it. That's a web component now. I've wrapped the business of creating a web component. Like, I've extracted out the class. so that it's almost functional. So the init, the detach. Sometimes I will do this ahead of time. Sometimes it can be complicated. It doesn't do all of what it's supposed to, so I do it too. I haven't figured out why, because it should just work. Sometimes it don't, but that's fine. And yeah, and because that's the only thing you're worrying about when you unmount is, are you losing memory because you didn't remove the event listeners, right? Are you just, and so just get rid of all of that, because the rest of it, it'll just remove the DOM units, and then the garbage collection will take care of it eventually. And if you want to go hyper, memory efficient, you can start caching even the scene and just rehydrate when it's time to come back. But I'm not there. Browsers are pretty good these days. You don't really have a lot of issues. You put the loader masks a lot of the business when it shows, and like it tears down and puts it back up. I'm not too concerned about it these days. And I really haven't found in my testing too many issues where you're running out of memory. I've never run out of memory. It's just a web, and that's it. It's just a website, right? It's like any other website. So, other than that, there was an early prototype that used React, and while that was fine, I had a lot of issues with the animation, and so that's not really React's forte. And there are libraries for it for sure. Framer is a pretty good one, but it just wasn't worth fighting with for what I was getting. Like, I don't need, virtual DOM state management for a video game at that level. And so I just don't. And it was a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun so far building it up from the ground. Not necessarily the most efficient. I've worked with it since about the month it came out, and not to one up. So I feel you. I think they've gone too far with 19. I think they're going to have their, what I call it, the Angular 2 moment. I wish they had told the PhD candidates and the PhD people that had to justify their jobs to work on something else. React was fine. Like, hooks were okay. I get what they were going with, and I'm not going to say, okay, Hat, come on. Now that it's focused, hooks were great. Like, when we finally understood them, we were finally getting used to them. The things that we lost, like, unmount and stuff, we dealt with it. The shit they're doing now is, I think, a step too far. Just, they could have left it alone. And I guess you could say, see, I love JavaScript. I do. And everything that other people hate about JavaScript, I like. I like it's flexible. I like that it doesn't have a typing system. I like that it has a ducking type system where it just makes stuff up. I like TypeScript too. Don't get me wrong. All this code is written in TypeScript. And I'm particularly a fan of, like, I've got a shared library for the server routes. And so I've got it such that, like here, and then I can go on this client side and I have, let's see, send server, post? Yeah, here we go. So I can go here and, it'll tell me, oh, that's not a route. Done. And then it'll tell me what's supposed to go in there, payload and whatnot. I love that. Good stuff. But I also like that you don't have to do that. I like that it gives you the choice. And I understand, with great power comes great responsibility, but I don't like when Rust and Golang, other languages, modern languages, force you to think and act a certain way. I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think that's a recipe for building great software. So, but I don't want to say, hey, I think there was a mini earthquake just now. The building just shook a little bit. Okay, that happens almost every day. But yeah, I don't want to say too much about Go or Rust or, those kind of languages. That's the part I don't like about them. Well, two things I don't like about them. That's one of the main ones. Being forced to do something a certain way. Okay, so we've identified the problem. I feel you. I like C sharp. I've been like, I learned C, and almost could say I was forced to learn C when I was 10. My uncle, big programmer back in the day, uh, he, one summer, I was spending the summer at his house, and, you know, I think I was being a little too annoying because he was trying to work. And he's like, learn this. And there's some other events in that I won't go through right now, but um, a bet between him and my uncle, or him and my grandfather. But the point is from there, it was C, and I got hooked. But a couple years later, I'm like, do I always have to compile shit? Like, I didn't say shit as a kid, but I was like, I don't like to compile. I don't have to wait to learn that I got it wrong. He's like, well, there's this thing called JavaScript. It was about that time. Done. I've been doing it ever since. And then from there, building up, I did ASP.NET, and then moved to PHP, as you do in the late 90s. I like to say that I'm a back-end engineer with a lot of front-end experience. But I do like that on the front end, you have a variety of problems to solve versus on the back end, it's almost always the same. There's only so many ways to write login code, only so many ways to write a model layer, and I'm gonna, connect to this third-party service, and it's all the same, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I just, from the day to day, because my API code's done for the most part. I don't have to go back unless I've broken something or didn't do it right in the first place. It's not artistic work at all, and that's nothing wrong with that. But I may not be an artist, but I do like that the front end is just more variety. And that's where I get it, right? A lot of people hate that. A lot of people they hate web dev, they hate all the libraries, they hate all the stuff. And while I do hate, I won't say hate, I just said hate is a strong word. I do think the velocity of new libraries and hype for new libraries is a little strong. But that's just because how easy it is to get into JavaScript and web development, that the age is younger and wider. You certainly have old people getting into it because, again, it's easier versus the very rigid back-end code or embedded development. And so that creates, the old person wants to do it his way and the young person wants to do it their way. Well, the young person's a little faster. And so 10 young people making 10 different versions of the same thing, well, whichever one of them's better at social media is going to get some hype, and that's going to bleed over to the other two. And now you've got 3 ways to do the same thing. Then later on, the guy that spent a year doing it puts out a package, and it slowly replaces the other 3, because it's actually the first 3 gave up after 6 months. So that part can get tiring, for sure. But I still think that's part of the reason why JavaScript actually survives all of the attempts to kill it. Even WASM is not going to kill JavaScript, even though you can compile all of the things. All right, I got to read this one a little closer to my screen. How you doing? Konnichiwa. Well, I guess this would be konbanwa. Zannen, watashi wa amari no Nihongo o amari shabarinai. I do not speak enough Japanese to have met, wooed, married, and had 2 kids with a Japanese woman. But I'm working on it. So, arigato. And it's fine though. You have to accept certain things about life, right? I know Blazor, but hey, there you go. Nothing wrong with trying something out. If you like it, you like it. Like I said, I like JavaScript, and I'm probably gonna stick with it until I just can't. But Other than that, I used to hate Ruby with a capital H, but as I got older, it wasn't Ruby per se. It was mostly that Ruby taught you, if you learned Ruby as your first language, you didn't know nothing about any other language. Like, you were almost useless if you came to anything else. But you learn any C language as your first, and you've got about 80% of every other C language. So you can go from PHP to ASP, from ASP to PHP, C# to C++. You got most of the tooling right there. And then the issue is that remaining 20% of the tooling might be a barrier. But the point is, you understand what the code looks like. You get it. You look at some Ruby stuff, you're like, what the fuck is that? And that, nowadays I don't want it. I mean, Ruby's dying, so it's not going to be an issue in 20 years. But it just was weird. It was weird. And I think that its conceit for being created is what was undoing. So trying to make it English or a natural language, and I think there is. It's like people who like to get rid of the commas and as many of the brackets in JavaScript as possible, like CoffeeScript and whatnot. And I think that they're forgetting that those things are important. They are the grammar of your code. And so just like taking away spaces, because who needs spaces? Just read the letters. Japanese person in the chat. I don't think that's it's important to have spaces in English, and it's important to have brackets and commas. Whether or not you like them or dislike writing them, they are part of the flow of code. And to remove them is to change the flow. And so now your code can only be read directly by people like that. So, but it's, what you want to get into the space versus tabs debate? You want to get spicy? So yeah, we're gonna try and fix. We're gonna try and fix that bug. So the bug is actually pretty easy to fix. So the battle loader right here. Deck interaction. In fact, see here. Hold on now. What sets? Oh, okay. So I was wrong earlier. No. Hold on. I was wrong. But I'll be right in the end. I was wrong about exactly why it was wrong about the index. This. So, because this is what sets the index. There's no closure. And this is an on move for the whole screen. So there's no closure for the thing. But I'm not sure why that would be wrong. Unless this is the wrong stuff. Alright, so let's go here. So I want to stop the flow. But actually, hold on, so Blazer. It's been a minute. Ah. This has come pretty far. I do like C#. I use it mostly with Unity though. Yeah, I don't dislike C#. Okay. So console, take that off. 0. Okay, so that's all right. Then I use that. Yo. All right, let's clean the screen. It's saying 1. Huh. Now it's saying 0. There's something... because the turn... So this is part of what I gotta not fix, but, you know, make better, is you can access parts of the UI when you're not supposed to. It was actually that guy's turn, and I'm sitting here playing with the cards. That's not supposed to happen. There you go. So it is saying the wrong number for the cards. I just don't know why. Okay, hold on. Well, it's going to be wrong. So it's the battle store cards index. I might have to fix this. I might have to do something else with this. Why? Yeah, I might do something else with this. I have to get the proper index somehow. But, and as I said earlier, it's looking through. No, okay, so that's fine. Need to read my own code. This is an array of elements, of HTML elements. So it's not, it's going to be the unique ID. So why is that when the array is empty? It's going pretty good. Like I said, I'm happy you're here. So howdy. I don't usually stream on Sundays. I'm usually streaming on the week, like during the week. But it's going pretty good. You're actually the first person to talk to me from YouTube. It's usually Twitch or Twitter, you know, X. So congratulations, and you're very welcome. I'm very glad that you're here, is what I should say. It's I use Restream to go to YouTube, Twitch, and X all at the same time, and I've never had anybody follow on YouTube or chat. It's the first time. Unfortunately, I can't. X can chat to me. I can't chat to them through the system. So we're gonna find out what's in this array, and it's got to be that the old data is in there. I'm gonna restart the run. All right. So it's sounding like the HTML element is not being removed from the cards array when I use the card, which will end up being a much better solution than I was hoping. I'm glad it's actually going to be that, because that's a client-side fix, which means I don't have to touch server code, you know, and don't dig deep into that. All right, so critical. Use the first card. So there's 5 cards there. All right, so we're gonna clear this. We're gonna look. There is that boom right there. It was not being removed from the cards array. Ergo, the first card now is actually the second index. So this is going to be a one-line fix. Let's see here. All right. So answer flashcard. On flashcard, done. Boom. Right here. So, you know, praise be, right? Oh, that's terrible. Like she got some colic going on. How old are we looking at? Like you said, newborn. So within a few months, like very recently. I appreciate the well wishes, Violi. Nice. 1 week. Congratulations. That's amazing. It's we're considering our third, and for the most part, my wife, we're 50-50. My wife keeps saying, we can't do it, we can't do it, we can't do it. But at the same time, she keeps bringing it up. So it's, it may or may not happen without her. So no, though she has a point. We're getting older, and we already have a lot of trouble with our two kids. Yeah, remember when how cute it was? And it doesn't help. Like our youngest is a year old, a year and a month, and I don't know what it is, but like my wife, and it's not that I don't love my first daughter. I love her to death. She's my firstborn, but she was nowhere near as adorable as our second. That child is angelic, and it's not because she's prettier. She's actually fatter, and she looks just like my father. And I know that's a terrible thing to say about your daughter, but no, like the face, like this shape here, and the way like from here up, that is my dad. We've held her picture up to his picture. It's dead on. You could like do that CSI like, oh, they match, and oh, it's crazy. But she is just, I don't know, and it makes us feel bad because we're like, we don't want to, it's not her, it's not our daughter's fault that I don't know. So my wife's like, well, what would the third one be like? It's like, that's dangerous territory, sweetheart. All right, that should fix it. And also it's been a while, so like. They say that when a woman's breastfeeding, it keeps her hormones down, right? For the most part. And you have a good one, man. Maybe I'll see you again sometime. So have a good night. I'll see you around. I think the hormones are coming back. I think she's starting to get, that whole system's working its way up again. All right. So I should now be able to use this card, and I should have kept that console log, but I can check the network log. So all right, let's see here, and they're all the same card, but still. All right, let's check the network. That should be 0. It is 0. We have fixed the bug. I need a button to do like beep. That was the bug. I think that's the last one until I make more. But like a person can now play this game end to end, right? All the content's not there, all the cards aren't there, but the loop is now done. Add back the flashcard sets, add more, add other languages. We got a product. We got a game. Very good. Pretty good. All right. Fine. Boom. There's one other bug, but it doesn't prevent the player from playing. It doesn't like crash the game and cause a server error, but I enjoy it. Like I said, my entire career since the 90s, I have made little games to learn things, to test things. Like I've got thousands of them, just little bitty things to learn how to do something. On all the spectrum of all the things you can do in a browser. So I like it. That's my wheelhouse. That's my thing. And so in general, when you look at a browser, especially in this day and age, you got GPU rendering, you've got WebGL, you've got, you can enable fancy graphics, you can move stuff around, you can translate without moving the physical object in space. So it's just GPU shifting. That's a rendering engine. That's a 3D engine. Now, 3D, but still, I'm not making a 3D game. So what does that matter? Like even the effect here, like it flips the card like that. That's fake. It's just, they're just two divs and they're just on top of each other and it just boop at the same time. Would it be any different if I did that in Unity? Exactly. So I use Stripe, and they take 5%. Hey, that's 5%, right? And I'm gonna get on Steam. Let's not joking. Let's not kid ourselves. But you're right. And I can put whatever I want in the game, right? I'm a publisher. I don't have anyone tell me, oh, you can't do that. Not that I'm gonna do anything, but I'm working on that. So, well, yeah, they'll come and get you. No one said that, and there are technically laws in both Japan and America that's already not true. But no, if they don't know about it, I didn't say that either. Nobody said that. I of course pay my taxes. I pay my taxes in 2 countries, so thank you. But no, you're right. I mean, I would support crypto not for the tax reasons, but just I like crypto. It is what it is. I don't think it's the savior of the world, but I do think it is an interesting avenue for payments. And people like it. So why shouldn't I try and take their money? But no, I like crypto, and so it's a little funky. But I certainly say it's not my okay, come on. Hey. I mean, I kind of like the little blur mayonnaise filter, but it's not what. You're a 4K camera, son. What are you doing? But yeah, right now I use Stripe, and so that just kind of covers the gamut. I need to add some more Asian focused things, because what I want to do is, right now, of course, it's English to Japanese, but I want to flip that Japanese to Japanese. So my daughter plays it. She speaks both languages, but she plays it to learn katakana, hiragana, right? She's 3 years old, so almost 4. So I want to do it so it's all in Japanese, and you're learning Japanese, right? And then kind of sell that, maybe see if I can kind of sell that to educational, grade school kids, like parents of grade school kids, as a game to play for their kids. So you're playing your educational game, you're learning your, but then also add English in there, so their kids learning both Japanese and English. I use Stripe, just straight up. It's in there. Yeah, I'm not at the level where I'm going to do my own merchant account. So I use Stripe. I'll probably end up adding PayPal. I'm not a big fan of PayPal, but money's money. PayPal's kind of shitty for a number of reasons, but that is what it is. And I'll just work my way down the list. Like I said, in Asia, Stripe is not the most used. There are a couple countries it doesn't work very well in, and so make support for PayPay here in Japan, and just work my way through the list as it goes. But with Stripe, you get the basics. Your major credit cards, that kind of thing. And so I just like that. It's an alpha product. I keep saying that. You can go play it right now, and so it's like, at some point you can't call it an alpha product, but it's well past the MVP stage. No, but it works. So it's the standard. Send some API requests and you get a webhook. I mean, Stripe's the same way. There's only so many ways to do a thing. I've never used an API gateway that's not that way. You send some API calls and then do some webhooks. But other than that, it is what it is. So I'm pretty happy right now, actually. That was the thing. That was the one bug. I thought it was going to be different, and so I'm glad that it wasn't. And so now from now on, it's literally just turning it, adding more content, building out the language, educational stuff, and making more interesting decks. So the whole idea is it's a constructed deck versus here you go, or a deck builder where you can finally craft. Now you got to pick and choose your deck styles. And so then I want to have it open enough that people can discover, because again, it's not about the education, and that's the key, right? If the game is fun and they're spending a lot of their time constructing a deck, they pick this weapon and this relic and this whatever, the education is just an afterthought. They're not even thinking about that they're doing it. They're playing the game, and then they have to get through the education to play the game, right? So that the mode in their brain is different. than just learning. So I want that to be the thing. I want there to be as much game as possible. And then the education is just kind of like, okay, I got to get through that to do the game. Go for it. I want to make this a full genre, 80-20 game education, right? I truly do. Because it's right. With AR, it is right there. And unfortunately, that's going to be more of my daughter's type stuff, you know, her generation. But for me, the field's wide open. So after this one, we're gonna do like a tactical, like, you know, like Final Fantasy Tactics, same type of idea, but with Final Fantasy Tactics, and then just kind of go through the genres of games, and then have it where same account is behind all of them. Oh, that's interesting. Let me see here. Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, you could add it to where you learn Japanese through that, or and again, learn is strong, right? But there's a game already out there where it's not even you have amnesia and you were injured, and so this woman's taking care of you in her house, and you don't understand the language at all, and so the game is you have a lot of things around the house that you can read, and she talks to you, and as you make notes, and as you start to uncover what the language, there's nothing that ever tells you what the language actually means, but you can start to make notes and stuff like, okay, that's an E, and that means dove, and that means flower, and the game starts to replace those words with English. And so that's definitely a thing that can be done. Right? You can start to build it around. I would say you limit yourself to 100 words to start, just like keywords, you know, because nomikai, you know, going out and getting drunk and stuff with your coworkers. You could create it around a certain series of events, right? You're not trying to teach a full language, but you get some verbs in there, get some nouns in there, and then it's just a feature list, you know. Oh, learn some language along the way. But then, yeah, make it full-on Japanese, like real, proper Japanese. And then, yeah, people would learn from it, whether they want to or not. And that's the key, right? That's the key, is they're not doing it to learn the Japanese. They're learning the Japanese to play the game. And that's just flipped. And so I think there's a whole genre for that. Just not making the game the education, making the education a part of the game. And so it can be and it doesn't have to be language, right? You can do math. You can do the bones in the body, the muscles in the body. It can be an educational thing for doctors and stuff. But they're just playing an RPG or something, and while they're doing it, they're learning their bones for their medical courses, or calculus, or history, or whatever. Right? The sky's the limit. I'm just using the language because it's very relevant to my interest. I need to learn the language a little better. My child needs to learn how to write katakana, so it just kind of fits my interest, but I want to expand it into other topics and other areas. But, you know, first you got to get there. Baby steps. So, like I said, we're now at the point where I'm going to start, like, not marketing, but like trying to gather an actual consistent player base. To test the game, to suggest things for the game, pay for the game, to like it. Instead of like a Kickstarter, or, you know, I don't mind a Kickstarter, but that's a lot of work and a lot of extra money that goes out the door that has nothing to do with your game. And I understand, you know, t-shirts, toys, you know, whatever it's going to be for your game. I want to do that too. I do things like I make soap, I make candles, I make coffee. You know, I can do those things for people, but I don't want that to be a big drive to take away from the game. You know, sometimes like you get a Kickstarter and they spend a lot of money doing all the side stuff. They never get to do the game or whatever the project is. And the project fizzles out even if they've fulfilled the Kickstarter promises. I think so too. I think this is why I'm so down for this. I've been down for this for over 10 years. always had to have a job and always working and that kind of stuff. And so I think there is a range, because I'm not trying to replace Duolingo. And I'm trying to help Duolingo. I'm trying to help you keep playing. And exactly, is you ride the edge of what they already know. And they feel good, especially if it's stuff they just learned. They feel good. And so I've stopped short of trying to integrate Anki directly into this app. I don't want to do that. I don't want it to be connected like that. One, that's a pain in the ass. And two, SRS is not, space repetition series is not good for a game. It's fine for Anki. It's fine for Duolingo, because you're doing it in a rigid manner. You're doing it in a timely manner. But a video game, it's, for one thing, like Anki doesn't randomize the cards, even if they have the same ease factor. And so, sure, okay, I'll take a look, man. I think I've heard the name Coaster, but who knows what I'm knowing these days. But I'll take a look at the book, man. It's probably right up where I need to be. Kind of stuff I need to be reading right now is what I should say. So, what was I saying? I don't want to do the deep integrations with external tools, mostly just because that's a pain in the butt for both sides. And SRS is not good for games, because you fall into a trap of answering the same flashcards over and over and over if you follow it directly. I've created more of a biorhythm system where, and also it's SRS is trying to hit you with content you're supposed to know with a little bit of new stuff mixed in, but it's focusing on the stuff you already know. That's the point of SRS, is to hit you at a certain time that you really need to remember that thing and dig it deeper into your brain. The new stuff is being added to the pile for later. It just happens to mix in there. You're really supposed to do that in 2 sessions, but life is not like that. That's not fun for a video game. So I've made, like I said, more of a biorhythm thing where it will go for slices of content that you either know or new. And as the biorhythm goes to the bottom, you'll have newer stuff. And then as it reaches the top, you'll have stuff that you already know. And then it has a wavelength within that where it'll go up and down. So, and then randomizes it from there, so that you're not getting the same series of anything ever. And one thing that I am going to try and pull off is what I call the infinite flashcard, which is you never see the same flashcard in the same way twice. The problem I have with Duolingo, personally, is I can sit down for a solid hour and get every flashcard right. And then I look up at my wife and none of it's going to be useful when I try and talk Japanese to her. Because I didn't learn Japanese for that hour. I learned looking at my phone. Okay, when I see these symbols, it's one of these things. And then there's music playing in the background. You remember that whole business. That's what it's, that's called context switching, right? When you go from that to, so I do that enough though, yeah, my brain will finally be able to pull it out of that maze to use it. But I'm not just learning the content of that flashcard. I'm learning everything around it. But one thing you can do is, if you were able to never see the same content in the same way, but you're learning the same information, just like when they'll say time limits. So you hear people say that you hear it, you write it down, and then you repeat it, because that's 3 different things about the same fact. But it's the same thing here. If you show the same information in a different flashcard with a different sentence every single time, your brain can't context the whole business, right? What will start to stand out is the information you're trying to teach, because that's the pattern that your brain will latch onto, versus the pattern of, when I see this flashcard, it's this button. And okay, well, now it's moved up one, right? So that's another reason why I have the server component, is so that it can be generating basically infinite flashcards from a set of data, so that you will never see the same flashcard ever about anything. You might see the same sentence for that word versus that word, but you will never see it in the same context. Is the goal that I have of it for move this stuff down the line. And so I've had a prototype running of that. Okay. Hi, camera. How you doing? You know, I did not cover you in, you know, Marilyn Monroe gloss. There you go. You'd think it wasn't 4K, but whatever. I've got something. My lights are probably bad or something. But yeah, that's my plan, is to implement the infinite flashcard series, and then take that, you know, and then later on you can use buzzwords like AI and machine learning, and we'll give you the perfect flashcard at the right time. But I'm not there yet. I don't want to be there yet. I'm not an AI hater, but I'm not an AI believer. It's changing some parts of the game, but it is not changing the game. Vibe coding is not our future, is the bottom line, in my opinion. So, but yeah, a lot of a key component to learning is self-reinforcement. So like, if after you learn something, you basically repeat what you just learned. I mean, congrats on that. You'll have to tell me some tips as I get my game done. But yeah, you really do have to, this whole, oh, I'll work on it for an hour a day, or no. Like, I use Copilot in my code, but it's an autocomplete. And then when it doesn't work, I have regular autocomplete. I do not ask it for stuff. I do not use it for anything else. I just have it because it can just go and look at the files that I have open, and then, oh, that's that function. Oh, his function's named like this. And oh, you know, what is the first parameter of get user going to be? Is it going to be account or user ID? Either way, it's close enough, right? So, no, that's all I use it as. It's a fancy autocomplete, and sometimes it saves me a lot of time. Like if I'm filming out, like, you know, dictionaries and stuff. And so I can just tab. Would have taken me a couple minutes to write all that. It's not fancy code, but now the AI can do that. And you just tab. Saves a couple minutes. It just makes you faster. I don't even use it for that. I should try and use it for that. Because I write terrible. Terrible get messages. I mean, I write better ones when I'm working for other companies and we got like Jira systems and other things set up. But when I'm left to my own, I do not write very good ones at all. For instance, my get message for this one is this. Wait, is it license or license? Done. And part of it is I never go back. Like, I don't roll back code. I don't do git blame. I don't do, just fix the thing and move forward. Who gives a shit where it came from? Like, if you need git blame to know the problem, you got bigger problems. So it don't matter. It doesn't matter. So I just, like, I've never once looked at my Git history for this repository. It's over a year old. I've got tens of thousands of commits, I think, at this point. You know, let's scale that down. I've probably got 2,000 or 3,000 total in the last year or so. I've never looked at a single one. I've never gone back. I've never had a bug that I would have needed to go back or cared where it came from. It doesn't matter. Just fix it. Just move forward. Fix the desync hard battle issue. That's the script. Feed. Have I released this yet? I have. Okay, so we're gonna pop this into a new one. Well, now I'm happy because tomorrow I can actually work on the game. What was the name of your game? Like, Jack told me, but that was a long time ago. So now I don't remember. Are you just embarrassed, or are you being, you know? Yeah. Well, but hey, that's okay. What was the phrase? NTR walking simulator. Which I know NTR just means cheating, but I use it. Oh, me and a lot of people I know use it in the context of just things that make you rage induce. That's fine. I don't care. No one's gonna read that. What am I doing? There it is. I mean, you got to get something out there. And even if, as you say, the thing that you put out's not that good, that's fine. Because now you can pivot. Now you can say, this is where I go from here. If you don't do anything, you can't move on. You can't take 1,000 steps if you don't take one step. So I feel that. I kind of feel that way about this game. I haven't gone into it quite with that hard mentality, but I've done this game in some variation 5-6 times over the last 20 years. And I've never gotten this close. And now I could, you had 10 more weapons. Like, there are games that have 4 classes, like similar type roguelite. 4 classes, and then you're done. Slay the Spire, right? 4 classes. To this day. So, I want more than that, but that's just me being greedy. So I had 10 weapons to give you a variety. I can do 6. You got well, I'll tell you something, and this is something my wife doesn't know yet. I don't have a job right now. So I'm actually unemployed with 2 kids. Not to one up you. So I've had more time to work on this and do this live stream. And so I have other sources of income. Like, I've written a series of novels back in the day, and they don't do they're not doing Stephen King numbers, but they do numbers. And that's been enough to kind of tide over. My wife would not be mad. I mean, during COVID I didn't have a job, right? And so she learned what it was like to have a husband who is not Japanese, who is not dead set on just working a job because he needs one. I was like, that's what savings are for. That's why if I take the first job that come along, right, for whatever pay, I go work at Walmart tomorrow, right, and just get paid. That doesn't help me. Now I'm working 40 hours a week, and I'm not making my skills better. I'm not working on what makes me attractive to companies that pay 6+ figures. So she learned real quick that when you work at a certain level, you don't just take whatever job comes along. And so recently there have been some issues, a lot of IT stuff's laying off people, and I got laid off. And so I put extra time into this, and I think I can bring it to the finish line and I think I can put together a good pitch deck for this product, then get some actual, and not just from game developers, like, you know, game funds, but actual VC funding type stuff. And so that's where we're at. And if not, and you know, run that through a couple months, see where it is. If not, just go and get a job. But I just hadn't told my wife because she's got more important things to worry about right now on her daily life. And I can just tell her, hey, I got a new job. Or I can tell her, hey, this game that I made, it's working. Doesn't matter. She don't care how the money comes in. But there you go. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it. So yeah. But really, it's just the situation. You know, having the wife, being able to take care of the kids, and then being able to come to my office. That's the same thing I did when I had employment. So nothing changes there. Just where I'm basically just paying myself. So things really haven't changed. So this will be the time that my wife finds the universe will somehow have my wife find my Twitch channel. And she'll be like, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. But let's see here. So I'm not going to be doing too much longer. I don't normally stream on Sundays. I usually stream during the week. Because I usually just stay home during the weekend. Today was an exception, though. I'm thinking I might try and carve out a couple hours in the week. Stuff happens, yeah. I'm not your, like, this is not a prop. I wear this outside in Japan. Like, I won't say I'm a cowboy, but you know, I'm not your traditional employee. So, for better or worse, I've got a lot of experience and I'm good at my job, but I'm not, like, I stand out, and that's usually the first person you get rid of. And it is what it is. I'm also on the older side. I'm older than 40, so, you know, ageism in the software industry and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna bitch about it. It is what it is. They don't want to hire me. They don't want to hire me. Like, why would I want to work for someone that doesn't want to hire me or doesn't want to be around me? Like, that's just a recipe for sadness. So, you know, I'm also kind of getting tired of working for people. Like, the idea that I gotta pretend like I give a shit about your product. Your product is the same as every other product. My product, the server, the stuff, it's a SaaS product with buttons. They're fancy. That's it. It's no different than any other SaaS product, of which there are tens and billions of. And so, this idea that your product is so special that I gotta act like a little worker ant. Right? Like, no. I don't work for your company because of you. I work for your company because I like solving problems. And you have problems I can solve. That's what. And you don't give a shit about me. That's why you fire me at a drop of a hat. Right. And it ain't changing. The only reason it changes is because we get bored of the old tech. And so we make up new tech to make our lives more interesting. You don't need Next.js. PHP was fine. ASP.NET was fine. Some people just didn't like Microsoft, and so they made something else. Right? They don't like JavaScript, so they make Dart. And it's all the same thing because it all breaks down at the end of the day. Whether you're agile or you go full tilt, you know, or you go, oh, we're just waterfall like the old days, or it's all the same until it breaks, and then you crunch to fix it, and there's no sprint, there's no stout, no, there's nothing, there's just problems. So all that stuff doesn't matter. Sprint's no better than waterfall. Waterfall's no better than no source material, you know, source engine, or what I'm trying to say. You know, Git, SVN, whatever. You know, it's all the same thing for most people. Turn to a product manager. They don't care. They have their idea of how to do it, and that's it. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's just, you know, exactly, because that's life. The more you try and control it, the more it's going to slap you in the face. And it's not to say that you shouldn't try and control it, right? The agile's not wrong. It's just, it doesn't allow, if you follow the tenets, for the failure of life that is constant and everlasting, right? It tries to treat it as if something you can manage, and then adds a bunch of layers on top of that. Like you can go worker bee style. And that's another part. I call agile communism for software engineering. Just the way it treats people, you know, as if you can just pluck them in and out, you know, and that's just not right. And so it just doesn't work, I think, at a certain scale. People always talk about Spotify being a stellar example of agile, but you know, to this day, Spotify is a piece of shit software. It has always been a piece of shit software. It will always be a piece of shit software. And part of it's a work ethic, and part of it is it doesn't have to be better. So I like Jira personally. I do. But I use personal, like I like Trello. Right. So I'm more of I'm the old school. So I just work on the thing until it's done. And so I use Trello, or in this case, I use Focal Board, which is an open source knockoff of Trello. And this is local to my computer. And so, but it's a Kanban board. So this is how I organize it, and then just work until it's done. And I usually just push every single day. So they got that, you know, that part of the CI/CD, just, you know, always deploying, fix and push, fix and push, fix and push. And the nature of my product is okay for that. You know, it's a game, so you want to have good updates. And you know, sure. I do think that we have an issue with crunch that ultimately does degrade the long-term viability of any product. I think, though, it is the nature of a developer. Crunch is not something product developers ever pushed on us. All developers crunch on purpose, their own time. It's just kind of who you are as a developer. And I think then the product managers just took advantage of that later on. You know, it's self-fulfilling. And then when a developer becomes a product manager and is driven to self-crunch, like, well, why wouldn't you crunch? I do 90 hours a week. Why wouldn't, you know, it's a little bit of a lack of self-awareness that has bled into everything else. But that aside, you know, I think it's just a matter of the philosophy of how you want to deliver your software. Do you want to deliver it quickly? Well, then more of an agile nature, you know, more granular. If you want to deliver big updates like Microsoft with their big pushes for certain resource packs, then you do more of a waterfall. You just do it until it's done. And I like that a little more, though I do like to push a lot. But I think both. I think it's just, like you said, you pick and choose. And I'm gonna build a version of this screen here that's online, and people can choose. Like they can order the items as they want, and then I'll have a mega view that will then show me, well, this is what everyone wants and how they want it. You know, like, you know, it could be, this is high priority, this is low priority, this I don't care about, you know. And then here are some of my personal suggestions, and they're all ranked. And then I can just look at that and go, okay, well, this is the number one issue. Off you go, right? And then that's once you have a stable player base and you can get them to give you feedback on that level. Then I can start to see what should be worked on versus my own opinion. But yeah. You know what I didn't do? I did not change on Twitch from 7 Days to Die to game development. So I apologize to the people who have come and gone because I thought I was playing 7 Days to Die when I was not. I'm gonna change that right now, even though it doesn't mean anything. I'm about to stop. Software. Oh, all right. I'll change it on this computer. What was it? Sneaky. Sneaky Sunday game in Saloon. Discord. I really, indeed. There would be kind of, if you found some way to make a video game about agile sprints, that would, you know, something that then had battles that had nothing to do with actually writing, just fake the game part, like the software part. That'd be kind of interesting. You know, what would it be? Agile sprint simulator. Like you gotta, so like, oh, I know. Well, there you go. I mean, it's like, okay, so like, you put at the beginning of the game of a session, you're planning out your sprint, right? And so you've got to pick how long you think it would, like, you obviously have your number of points, right? And so you got to take this task and say it's going to take this long. And so the game is, if you, at the end of the sprint, it will, you know, I won't say random, like maybe some mini games or something that will determine if you actually met the points or you went over or under, right? And so at the end of the sprint, if you get it wrong, the boss, it cuts off your arm or something. You know, that's the horror part, is how bad are you going to get fucked up if you got it wrong. And then, yeah, he breaks into your house and, you know, you wasted company money. You know, the knife and starts, you know. But that's the game. It's trying to make sure that you actually get your sprint right. And then but then somehow you go back in, you're missing some fingers, but now it's time for sprint 2. You can't leave. Maybe you're trapped in the building, like where you work. So you can't actually go home. You're stuck there. And instead of doing the actual work, you're faking it, but then you're trying to like figure out a way to get out of the building. Like, right, there you go. And so then, you know, you've got to try and do enough work, mini games, while you're trying to figure out a way to get out of the building. You know, pick lock the window or something. And then, but if you do that, it takes up an hour, and then you still have to work overtime, which stresses you out. And then your work gets worse. So maybe you suffer a bug, and that causes you to do extra work, right? And so that's the game, which actually sounds horribly realistic. But, you know, we can make anything into a game these days. I kind of want to make a, yeah. And then just, okay, do your work, don't do your work. Do I help a team? Yeah. Do I help a teammate today? Or you get a message in your Slack and you're like, do I pay attention to that? Yeah. Well, yeah. You go there and then they don't help you escape. They escape without you because you would never answer their messages. And their messages were about trying to escape. Oh, alright. Yep, I'm joining Discord. So I think I am running about out of time. About time to go home. Also, I'm in a Japanese apartment, and so that means the guy next door can probably hear me, or at least hear me mumble. We're in somebody's game. We are not the main characters. I'm not a main character. And it's not over. I mean, we have to keep the main characters entertained, so somebody out there is keeping the game running. But, you know, I used to worry about that kind of stuff, but I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. You got your kids, you got your family. At some point, you know, you got to focus. Like my family has some history in politics, and they're like, oh, maybe run someday. I was like, ah. So I don't think people would like that. So anyway, there we go. I'm gonna do the roundup. So I fixed the bug. Very important bug. Turned out to be that's true. And certainly you are important to their lives, which makes you the main character. So I appreciate you for coming out and thank you for the follow. And maybe I'll see you in the future. Like I said, I do stream during the week. Um, so usually a little earlier in the day here in Japan. So I may or may not see you, given the time zones. But I really do appreciate it. If you join the Discord, I apologize again. If you join the Discord, we can chat later in other ways. But if not, I'll catch you around. So yeah, I fixed a bug that I thought was going to be a much bigger deal, and it turned out to be very simple. And I'm glad for that. But it is the only bug that I know of preventing a player from going through an entire session of the game, which means a player can play the game. They can do the roguelite, pick their weapon, pick their loadout, play the game, get through levels, and then die and do it again. And that's the game loop. Now the point of what follows, what I'm doing from now on, is adding game content, improving game content, balance and whatnot, and market, improve the quality of the UI, improve the quality of the graphics, add things like particle effects and the juice of battles and stuff, and play around with the issues, the tweak the knobs and stuff. So I'm excited, and so we're getting close to a viable product, which it was an MVP a long time ago. Now it's time. So I'm gonna start in earnest tomorrow. Trying to drum up a player base. So bright and early tomorrow. And see my little follower here. Boop, boop, boop. We are 18 to 30 for followers in Twitch. Flava was my 18th follower, so thanks to him. And then I will go and we'll get this done. Your help, we're gonna get it done. I appreciate everyone that came out. Thank you for Jack Development for the raid. I will return the favor one day when I have a few followers. And yeah, nobody's watching right now. No, wait, it says 3 people are, so I don't know if that's true or not. But I'm rambling. It is what it is. Now it's time for me to go home, go to bed, get up, do it all again tomorrow.